Oh man, so good, so good, so good to be with you guys. Hey, if it's your very first time to be here, we just want to say we're incredibly honored to be in service with you. And man, I just know that God's got something for you today. No, they're like I can't see. It's great. Hey, it's all part of the process. It's all part of the journey. And so today we are talking about something called a faith that stands. Who in here you would agree and you would say, listen, I enjoy some good alone time, right? I got a nice back deck area, and we bought some new furniture back there. And the whole reason is because my kids take over the living room, and they've got shows on that I don't like, right? I mean, I can only handle like so many episodes of SpongeBob in a row. And so I want to go out there, and then inevitably, as soon as I go out there and I turn something on the TV out there, one of them wants to come, and I have to so sweetly say, this moment is not about you, okay? Can you go back inside? I love you from a distance right now, okay? But we like some alone time. We all do, and I know some of the moms in here like, that'd be really nice, right, if there was any alone time. Hey, I've went in the closet before and shut the door. I'm not going to lie. It's happened. I enjoy just that time to relax and to breathe and be alone. But you know what? There are crucial moments in life. There are monumental moments. There are a lot of times where you need others. Alone is good maybe for a moment, but we need other people. There are a lot of things that we can't do alone, and I think social distancing in this last season has shown us that we need other people, right? So I just created my top 5 of things that you can't do alone, or they're harder to do alone. Alone, you can't have an internal dilemma about who gets the last chip in the basket. You know what I'm talking about? You're at a restaurant and you're down to the last chip and you're like, do they get it? Do I get it? Do I break it in half? What's the protocol here? Because I don't know. Anybody ever dealt with that? Like, I don't want to be the person that grabs the last chip, but like, I'm not going to lie to you, I will be the person. It really doesn't bother me that much. It used to, but I'll just get it. They'll bring it into the basket. I'm fine with that. So it's really hard to get a good hug alone. Like, it's just like, we've done a lot of COVID hugs where it's like, oh, I love me. You know, it's like, it's not the same. It just doesn't feel the same. A good hug. It's really kind of hard to play charades alone. You make an act out what the problem is, like you always know the answer. It's just not challenging. You know, I mean, like, it's hard. It's really hard to have a good time of seesaw alone, right? Like, I've done that. I've been that kid, right? You know, out there. Like you're trying real hard by yourself, and you look at that kid in the distance, you're like, oh, how cute. They have no friends. Nobody wants to be around them. But here's my number one, especially since we're coming into summertime. Can we click that image up here? We should have the image. It's really hard to apply sunscreen well alone. I mean, he got really high, right? I'm not proud of him, but it's really hard to get a good sunscreen spread alone. Some things are not as good alone. And I would even argue there's better than alone. Sometimes life hits, and sometimes life hits hard. Anybody ever felt the punch of life? I have. Sometimes life comes at us, and sometimes it's a cool, nice breeze, and sometimes that breeze is a hurricane. And it can sometimes feel like everything's falling around me, and how do I even keep standing? How do I build a life that stands and everything else around me is falling down? How do I do that? And so the scripture that's kind of the base scripture what we're talking about is in 1 Corinthians 16:13, it says, be on your guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous and be strong. And that sounds really great, stand firm in the faith, but sometimes it feels like all I can do is stand up straight. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's hard just to stand sometimes. And what it recurs, what is that? What it requires to stand firm in the faith, it requires a faith that stands, something that's authentic, something that's real, something that's deeper than surface level, something that's not superficial. We need a real kind of faith that stands up to what comes at us. And we can live the kind of life that no matter what hits us, we can stand at in the aftermath. We can still be standing. I fully believe it. But here's the thing about faith. Faith was never meant to be an isolated event, but faith is all about community. as you read through the Bible, you see that the way that God built up living out our faith is to live out this life with other people. That's the way that, like, community has the word unity in it. We come together in unity. Like, God in the Old Testament was known as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, he was known as the God of people, not just a person. It's all about people. It's all about community. A faith that stands. If you want to be able to stand at the end of all this, you want to be able to still be standing up tall no matter what life hits, a faith that stands doesn't stand alone. A faith that stands together. And alone is an awesome place to visit. I like to be there sometimes with my own thoughts, and I don't want to talk to anybody. Any introverts are like, I love that so much. I'm extroverted, and I'm still all about a little bit of alone time. But it's a horrible place to live. Because when you live in alone for so long, you can be around a group of people and still be all alone. There's a deep loneliness, but there's a better place to live, because life was created by our Creator in such a way that we can survive alone, but we can't thrive without others. You can survive alone, but you can't thrive alone. You can be the hermit in the woods killing a squirrel every day and live, but I don't call that really living life to the fullest. You know what I'm talking about? There's a better way to live. We need each other. I'm going to be in Philippians today. Philippians it's a book in our Bible, of course, but basically it was a letter by a guy named Paul who planted a church. After he left this church and left them, and they were thriving and doing things, he wrote letters back to these churches that he planted, and this was a letter he wrote to the church in Philippi, right? The city was Philippi. Just like Lufkin, it was a town, a city in that area called Philippi. He's writing a letter back to them to instruct them on things going on. And so we're going to be kind of reading through part of this letter that he sent to the church to kind of learn how to live this thing out. He said, above all, like more important than anything, he said, you must live as citizens of heaven. You may pay your taxes in Angelina County, that's inside of Texas. Man, those went up, baby. You know what I'm talking about? We ain't getting into that today. But you may pay your taxes and you may vote in certain areas. But it says, man, if you're a believer, you're a citizen of a bigger community. Like, we are citizens of heaven itself. And that's pretty great. It says, conducting yourselves in a manner worthy of the good news about Christ. Like, live in such a way that reflects who we are, that reflects who we serve. It says, then, he's talking to them, he says, then whether I'm able to come and see you again, or if I only hear about you, I will know that you are standing together. Standing together. Not just standing. Key to standing is standing together. With one spirit, one purpose, fighting together for the faith, which is the good news. Last week we reminisced a little bit about a very violent game that we played in school called Red Rover, right? Anybody with me? Anybody remember those times you weren't here last week? Red Rover, you're choosing the small kid to come over. You know what I mean? And like, Red Rover, let 2-foot Johnny come over, because there's two of them. There's a 7-foot Johnny and a 2-foot. You don't want 7-foot because he's going to hurt you. Right, Red Rover. And so the key of Red Rover, if you're on the side running, is you want to run through their arms and break their grip. And so you want to go at it as hard as you can. If you're on the line, standing in defense, you want to stop them. You want to clothesline that sucker. You know what I mean? You want them to be laid out on the ground with your team laughing at them. That was Red Rover. That's at least how I remember Red Rover. Red Rover. See, it's a lot like life, because in Red Rover, the power of the win for Red Rover, it's both in the stance and it's also where at? In your hands. It's in the stance. See, in life, as we live, as you go through life in the daily, as we're figuring out how to live day by day, it matters where you stand. Right? It matters what you stand for. It matters what you stand on. It does. Like, it matters where we're standing in life. You've got to be standing on something that doesn't move. You've got to be standing on something secure. And here's the problem with life as we know it right now. Like, if we're just standing on whatever culture and the world tells us is right in the moment, nothing is ever secure and nothing ever stands like it's supposed to, because everything around us is always changing. Do we know that to be true? What is accepted now today was not just 5 years ago. And like things are changing at such, I got to be standing with my life, firm foundation on something that's solid. And in life, I'm telling you, the only thing that's solid is Jesus. Throughout time, the only thing that hasn't changed is Jesus. We have to build our life standing on and rooted in Him. He is our faith. He is our assurance. He's our confidence. He's our hope. And so I live constantly standing on Christ. Constantly making sure my life is looking back to saying, Jesus, is it all about you? Right? It matters where I stand. So when Red Rover's happening, I'm getting like, you know what? You're not like, no. You're getting your stance down. You know what I mean? You're getting ready for somebody to come at you. In life, we've got to make sure we're standing on something solid. Is your life rooted and standing and on top of the life that Jesus wants you to live? Anything else, man, it's shifty. Anything else is breaking. Anything else is unstable. But Jesus never changes. The Bible says He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. I got to build my life on something that lasts, something that matters. See, it matters your stance, but it also matters your hands, right? Red Rover, you can be standing real strong, but you stand by yourself, they're running straight through, and you lose the game. It matters that we grip some hands. It's the grip strength that holds the line in Red Rover. Anybody, if you've never played before, man, you need to play the game. In life, we stand on Christ, but we stand with others. We stand on Christ, but we stand with others. Standing together, the Scripture said. Standing together, standing with each other, with other people, with one spirit, with the same purpose, with the same goal. Here's the deal. As you look at the Bible, and we've said it already, right? The Bible makes it super clear. We're created for others. We're created to live life in community. We're created to have connection. Now, why did COVID mess so many people up so much? It's not just because of the virus. Yes, it was a horrible thing, and we lost a lot of precious, incredible life because of this virus. But one thing was the mental and social effects of it, because we're created for people. We're created to thrive in the context of others. We are created for others, but if you're anything like me, we default to alone. We're created for connection, but we drift to isolation. Nobody else? Life gets difficult. I don't default by picking up the phone and say, hey, can you hang out with me? Like, no, I want to go hang out at my house. I just want to go close the door. I don't want anybody around me. Is that just me? Like, we default to alone, right? I got this on my own. I'm wondering, like, if that's the key, we're created for community. We're truly created to do life together. Like, that's the way that life thrives. That's the way that we stand in life, is by arm in arm, hand in hand, the grip strength at the ready. I wonder, though, if we've lost what it means in so many ways to have intentional, real, resilient relationships. I wonder if we've lost that. See, because here's the deal, and we know this to be true, and it's been said and regurgitated so many times, but we are more connected than ever before, but we're looser connected than ever before. And I'm telling you, you can have 1,000 people in the line at Red Rover, and if you're like barely holding hands and you're not paying attention, you ain't stopping nobody. And that's kind of what life looks like. We're connected to thousands of people, yet we're not really connected well to anyone. It's like we got some hands, but they're like, You ever held hands with a fish hand before? You know what I'm talking about? If you never have, you're the fish hand. I'm just saying. You're like, no, I've never done that. Like, somebody, you're like, you go to shake hands or hold hands, and they're just like, come on, put some effort into that. You know, like, grab it. Like, you know, that's how they hold hands or shake hands. It's like, that's kind of the community of relationships in the culture and the life that we live in. We have lots of quantity, but I wonder how much deep quality there is. And I think that mentality and that way of living has even made its way into our deepest relationships, into our marriages and everything else as we look about, we have these relationships. How many actually go below any level of surface? How many real conversations have you had? I mean, you get on there, I've got 2,400 friends. And if you really knew me, you'll be able to take this test and see which kind of avenger I am. Take this 5-question quiz to see what little pony I most reflect. Like, no, I'm Hawkeye. How did you not know that? It's rude. You didn't even know me. And that's our deepest level of connection. Why? Because whenever that's your connection, that's our closest friends. It's so easy, too, whenever you disagree with me, I'm just going to block you. And I love the feature to unfollow but not unfriend. Anybody with me? Who's ever followed? Let's be real in church. Who was in this last week unfollowed but you didn't unfriend? Yeah. Who has ever unfollowed but not unfriended? Okay, I'm seeing some hands and I'm seeing some liars. It's okay. God help you. But seriously, right? I mean, it seems like we're more connected, but we're looser connected than ever. And I've got to have some people around me that can fight with me. Now, I got plenty of people that I can fight. Ooh, I'm good. I can be articulate. I'm always one of those kind of people that in the moment, I'm like, I don't know what to say, but then later, I should have said that. I'd been so good. But at a keyboard, bro, I can blow you up. I can do it. Sink a ship through that thing. We got people that we can fight, but who do we have that we can fight with? Who do we have around us that we can fight for something together? Right? And I think that's even one of the tragedies of the church for so long. We've been known by what we're against instead of being known by what we're for. And I think we need to connect with people in a real way. Have some real connections. Who do you have? That way when life hits, I've got a hand. Whenever it comes at me, right, because it's coming, it may be a breeze, maybe a hurricane, but I'm gonna need my stance, but I also need some hands to hold me up. We stand by standing together. We stand by standing together with real connection. And it says in verse 28, in Philippians 1:28, it says, don't be intimidated in any way by your enemies. Don't be scared by what comes at you. It said, this will be a sign to them that they will be destroyed, but that you are going to be saved, even by God himself. What's the sign? When we're together. The previous verse, we stand together. Said, this is a sign that no matter what comes against you, it can't stand when you stand together. So we don't have to be intimidated. We don't have to be scared. We don't have to be knocked out of life because something gets difficult, not when I have others around me. I know that I can look at whatever and know that we can make it when I'm standing on the promise of Christ and I'm standing with the people of Christ. Right? We're together. Together, we're more capable. We're more creative together. We're more inspired together. I'll be prepping a sermon and working on stuff, and I'm calling like other pastor friends of mine. I'm calling people because we're more inspired together. We're more creative. We're more empowered together. We're stronger together. There's this real thing you ever heard of synergy? Synergy. It sounds like a cool word, synergy. It's this idea of a compounding effect whenever you come together. So the thought is whenever you have two people working on a project, say in business, you have more than 2 times the results because you're coming together. There's synergy that happens and you get multiplied the effect. Come on, I'm telling you that works even more in the spirit. There's a spiritual synergy that happens when we come together and we grab some hands and we look in some eyeballs, and we have some people that we're fighting with and fighting for. There's some spiritual synergy happening where, man, something is better together. We're stronger, we're better together. So I'm not afraid, I'm not intimidated at what comes at me. I don't have to be scared to death whenever life looks at me. It's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't have to be defeated by it because I know I got people that are fighting with me, right? Where I'm not in this alone. I'm not in this alone because I know that we're going to make it. I know that we're going to get through it. Sometimes what happens, anybody with me ever been here? Sometimes in life, like my stance gets a little shaky and my grip gets a little loose. Like I just get weary, right? Sometimes life gets very difficult and I want to give up. Maybe I don't want to give up at life in general, and some of us have been in that place. But maybe I just want to give up on what I'm doing. Maybe I just want to throw in the towel. And like as I'm standing, man, my knees are shaky, and I'm losing the grip. And I need people beside me who, when my grip gets weaker, theirs gets stronger. You know what I'm talking about? Red Rover, we've been grabbing hands for a while. I'm getting tired, but they're getting stronger so that nothing breaks through the line. Sometimes when I feel like I'm falling, they're actually holding me up. And that's what life together looks like. That's whenever you have people around you that care about you looks like. We're grabbing hands together. And Galatians 6:2 says this, share each other's burdens. In this way, you will obey the law of Christ. It's like we're literally obeying a command of Jesus when we share each other's burdens. Not just each other's food, right? I love eating together, but your burdens too. Burritos and burdens. That's what we're going to create some shirts, burritos and burdens. Like we have the good times and the bad, the best of times, the worst of times. You know what I'm talking about? Burritos and burdens. You can make that shirt for me, Simeon? Right there. I mean, that's the life that we need as we come together and say, man, we're sharing burdens. We're helping each other out. We're more together. 29 and 30, the same chapter right there in Philippians, it says, for you have been given not only the privilege of trusting Christ, those burritos, right, the good times, trusting him that all is going to work out and it's going to be perfect, not only the privilege of trusting Christ, but also the privilege of suffering for him. It says like it's a privilege to suffer for Jesus. Now, that's kind of some language that we don't use. It's such a privilege to get punched in the eye. Like, it's such a privilege to have a flat tire on the midst of bad traffic. Yeah, but it's a privilege as we suffer for Jesus, it says, because no suffering is ever in vain with Christ. He's always working something out in our suffering. He's always doing something bigger in our struggle. But what does the next verse say? We're in this struggle together. We're in this struggle together. We struggle, we suffer, it's difficult, it's tough. Yeah, that explains Tuesday sometimes, right? You know what I'm talking about? But we're in this struggle together. And then here's what Paul goes on to say. He said, you've seen my struggle in the past. This dude's got it going on. Like, if you want to be like anybody, be like Paul. He planted half the churches in the New Testament. We probably heard about Jesus today because of the work of this guy, Paul. And said, but you've seen my struggles in my past. You know that I'm still in the midst of it. See, what happens is we succeed together. We strive together. But there's also another side of that coin. We struggle together. We struggle together. We struggle together. Together, we got more endurance to keep going. Now, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not like a gym rat. I mean, I don't know if you could tell. Like, I'm not there, like, pumping iron, like 3-4 hours a day. I was talking to this guy the other day, and he's like, I go to the gym. You know, go work out, right? And I'm like, cool. It's like, well, how long you go work out for? Because I'm thinking like 30 minutes is enough. You know, within that 30 minutes, I've walked around all the machines. I've seen all I could see. I've talked to everybody in the room. What else is there to do there? I don't understand. He's like, 3-4 hours. I'm like, what do you do for 3 or 4 hours? Like reading a book or something? I don't understand. But I do remember there's been a lot of times where I went and worked out with other people. And so as you're having somebody that you're working out with, I realize I do a whole lot more when I'm with somebody than when I'm by myself. When I'm on the little elliptical, I'm the elliptical guy, right? I'm on the elliptical. By myself, I'm about 15 minutes, and I'm like, kind of bored, I'm done. With somebody, I'm like 40, 45. Why? Because, come on, you can do just a little bit more. You can do a little bit more. By myself, I'm like, 72. I mean, 4, 5, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, you just do it. But with somebody, it's like, one more, come on, you can do it. And next thing you know, that one more has been 10 more. And I can do so much more than I ever thought that I could. When I got somebody else with me, there's more endurance together. Together we have more encouragement that we can do it, that we can make it. Paul said, hey, you've seen my struggle. Listen, there's somebody in these seats around here that has struggled with what you're struggling with. There's somebody in these seats, there's somebody that has been through what you're going through. And sometimes it's just nice, as Paul said, look, you've seen my struggle. And if, Paul, you've got it together and you still struggle, To me, that gives me encouragement to think that, like, maybe I've got a chance too. Like, whenever I can look at somebody else and say, hey, wait, you had marriage problems too? Wait, you've had financial problems too? Wait, like, you made bad decisions too? Like, you've seen my struggle and they made it. It gives me encouragement to say, I can do this. I can make it. Alone, though, I just throw in the towel. Alone, I just give up. Together, I know that I'm not alone. And I want you to be encouraged in that today. You're not alone in this. Some of you feel extremely alone in whatever you're in, but you're not alone in it. You're not alone in it. Sometimes we isolate because default is to isolate. Default is to alone, right? You know what I'm talking about. It's great to visit the deck outside, but I don't want to live there. My wife don't bring food out to the deck and encourage my aloneness. I got to go in and eat sometime. I got to go in and hang out sometime. It's great for a moment for not to live in, and we need other people. You need other people in your life so that you can know whatever you're going through, you can make it. You can overcome this. You're not alone, from the youngest to the oldest in here. Here's what I know about being a teenager. I used to think that nobody understood what I was going through, except for literally every old person knows what I went through. Now, different context, different kind of style. Yes, the world's a little bit different. But there's people who know what you're going through, that have been through it. There's people in the seats, maybe not the same exact thing, but as we, like Paul, can look at each other and say, you see my struggle. And my struggle is never in vain, because my struggle will help you succeed and your struggle will help me succeed. And together we're locking hands and we're clotheslining whatever comes at us. Right? I will not fall. I will not trip up. I will stand. We're created for connection. We default to alone. So we have to be intentional about connection. Even though all this is true, even though all of it's true, we still pull away. Suffer alone, create a front. How are you? And I'm so good, brother. You're dying inside, but it's the best day of my life. No, it's not. No, it's not. Who do you have you can tell that it's not? We rarely let anyone get beyond the perimeter. Like, I like military movies. And some of these movies, right, they're trying to come and overtake like some kind of like a cartel facility or something like that. And there's like motion sensors around the place. And so they're being sneaky. The Navy SEALs are having to deactivate the motion sensors. Some of us have motion sensors around the perimeter of our life. It's going off if anybody tries to get too close or to ask too many questions or really know the real you. Don't let anybody get too close, because when they get too close, I just get hurt. So I don't let anybody close. But the problem is I've walled myself off into isolation, surrounded by people and completely alone. It's just no way to live. It's miserable. It's miserable. Hey, I'm telling you, letting people in is worth the risk of somebody hurting you along the way. It is, because we're created for community. You'll never thrive fully alone. And here's two things that take us out so quickly: offense and isolation. We're so easily offended at every little thing. And offense drives me away from people. Offense builds up walls of distrust. I'm so offended by what you did. They didn't even mean to hurt you. They didn't even know they hurt you, but we're offended, and now I'm isolated. And then I isolate myself off, and now I'm completely cut off from people who would love you if you would just reach out. Come on, we need something in life that stands. Like, I need something real. I need something real. I need something real. If I'm falling down a cliff face and I'm looking up to grab a rock, I'm hoping I'm not grabbing one of those that's just going to break off and fall. I need to grab onto something real. I need something real in my life. As we stand on Christ, we have to stand together. Right? Who knows this? United we stand, divided we fall. So a couple of questions for you just before we leave. A couple of questions. As we talk about, what it looks like to stand together, my first question is, what does your team look like? Right, you got our Red Rover team, right? We're on one big team. We're on a team. What does your team look like? My team experience wasn't too great. My sports team experience, I'm going to be really honest with you. I was never much of a sports guy. I kind of refer to it as a lot of times as the sports. Yeah, sports, great. Is the game on? Yeah, I'm sure there's some game on. I don't know what it would be, but like sports, great. Well, 5th grade baseball was kind of my big sports debut. I did a little bit of t-ball and stuff like that. 5th grade baseball, I'm gonna be the breakout like all-star. You know what I mean? Except for that didn't really happen. So my team experience was, in that day, the coach had to play everyone. You know what I'm talking about? Were you ever a coach, you just had to play everybody, and you're like, oh, it's a friendly game of baseball? Yeah, I was the kid they wish they could bench, right? But you can't because it's 5th grade and their feelings matter. And so I'm getting up there, and I feel like there's like an audible, when I get in the batter's box. Like I can hear an audible disappointment in the crowd. You know what I mean? It's like, it's Eric. Number 6 is up to bat. This will be fun. Now, maybe not. In my own mind, I was hearing the groans of people. So here's the conversation. Here's my team experience. It started with, keep your eye on the ball. And then a couple pitches goes by. It's like, just hit something. Swing at anything. And then a pitch later, it's like, good effort. Good effort. Good job. Come sit back down. Okay, you were the rock star. I was that guy. But it takes a team. This is team effort. Life is team effort. See, verse 28, it says, you will be saved. But he said, you're going to be saved by God himself. See, this is not about us coming together and just being stronger and we're able to do more because we're so much better together. Really what it's about is unity. And unity invites his ability. When we come together in unity, it's not about, oh, we're so strong together. It's about our unity brings in his strength. Whenever we come together as people and we lock arms, God's power is what enables us to stand. It's not just because you're strong and I'm strong. It's because whenever we lock hands, God's strength is working through us. He said, you will be saved, but not because you're such a strong gripper. Not because you got all the answers to give somebody. Not because you're all that. No. Because whenever you grab hands and you come together in unity and you care about other people, baby, that comes and brings the power of God in your life. Because God works through community. God works through unity. And as we come together, unity invites his ability. His supernatural ability to work through us as a people. And that's why as much as we have a God who wants to bring us somewhere good, who wants us to stand strong, we've got an enemy that his entire goal is to knock you out. His entire game is whack-a-mole and you're the mole. That's his whole effort is to knock you out. And so what he will do, the biggest thing that he's going to use to knock you out in life is to get division between you and other people. Because if he can get you alone, got him. And that's his goal. But together, as we come together in unity, unleashes God's power. As we think about a team effort, I want you to define, as we make an effort to stand together. First thing I want us to define is, what's your win? What's your win? What do I mean? In Philippians chapter 2, as we kind of go on, now in the Bible, you read it in verse chapter. This was one long letter that was written. We put the verses and chapters in the Bible in order to be able to make it easier as reference to read, right? Or that'd be pretty intimidating, right? So verse chapter, but this is a continued thought. He said, is there any encouragement from belonging to Christ? Any comfort from his love? Any fellowship together in the Spirit? Are your hearts tender and compassionate? Basically, he's begging with them. He's like, if there's any love in you, if there's anything left, if you've ever known God, he's just kind of begging right here. He said, then make me truly happy by agreeing wholeheartedly with each other. He's like begging them, please, if you ever loved me, if you ever loved God, be in unity. Be in unity. You'd make me so happy if you'd come together, love one another, and working together with one mind and purpose. One mind, one spirit, one love, one purpose. One goal, one reason. What's your one? What's your win? What's the purpose that we live for? In baseball, it's to get more runs than the other person. We got a scoreboard. We understand our win, right? If that number's bigger than that number, I get ice cream. right? If that number is bigger than that number, I run laps. We understand the difference, right? We know what a win is. In band, your win is to put on a great concert. Well, you can't, we need to make sure that we don't confuse the two different wins. They're different. You don't bring a trumpet out to the baseball field and the baseball's coming and I mean, it's like, you think you won and you just lost the game. You're like, I played a great concert. Well, you wouldn't play in the same game, right? Red Rover has a different win than baseball. The baseball's coming, Red Rover, oh gosh, I got confused. And we got to define in life, what's our win? Like, what are we standing for? What's this life truly about? See, a strong team needs to know what the win is in order to go and fight together to make it win. And here's the deal, our win has to be bigger than just ourselves. The win of my life, the big win at the end of it all, has to be bigger than my paycheck just got bigger than last month. Has to be bigger than somebody on Facebook liked me. It has to be bigger than just some superficial things. It's all about me. What's my win? What am I standing for? I'm telling you, as the body of Christ, I think that's what is knocked us out, because everyone's standing for ourselves, but not for one big goal. So every time that we get offended or hurt, we're gone and we're done, instead of deciding I'm standing for something bigger than myself. I'm living for something that's bigger than me. If you're not living for something bigger than you, then anything bigger than you that comes against you makes you fall. What's your win? Our win is together we're pursuing after God. Together we're building the kingdom of God. Because we stand together, heaven gets bigger and hell gets smaller. That's a pretty good win. Because we stand together, like the church, our win is literally eternity. Like, our win is the eternity of others. So as we lock together in unity, as we love people, as we come together and fight for something bigger than ourselves, people get to not spend eternity in hell and go to heaven. I like that win. It's bigger than me. It's not just about me having a bad day now, and sometimes that stinks, but even in a bad day, I realize I got a bigger win. My life is built on something bigger, and together we're fighting for the kingdom of God. We're fighting together to push forward God's kingdom. So we live in a culture that now is known for canceling anything that it doesn't agree with. And it's offended by anything. Why is that? I think because everybody's looking for a cause to fight for. Everybody's looking for something to lay their lives down for. And so it may seem petty and small in the things, and I'm telling you, in the years past, you're like, that never happened before. No, because they had bigger things to fight for, like actual wars they lived through. And then now there's none of that. So I gotta find something to fight for. So I'm gonna fight for the extinction of brown turtles that live in southern hemisphere. That's what I'm pouring my life into, right? So we find these causes and we die on them. Except for really understanding there's a cause bigger to live for, and it's called the kingdom of God. And as we're linking our arms together, we're fighting for a cause. We have a cause, we have a win, and it's bigger than just making it to Friday. It's bigger than just anything else. It's about the kingdom of God. I can stand whenever me and you stand together fighting for something bigger than us. I can stand. There's a win. And the last just kind of quick thought is, who's on your team? We're fighting, man. We're on a team. We're doing this together. We've got a big win. Come on, there's a big goal that we have. We have a big goal. Who's on your team? See, life and faith, standing for God, still standing when everything else around us falls, still being standing tall whenever everything else around us. I went through a couple of hurricanes, and one time I was there when the eye of the hurricane literally went over the house that we was in. It was crazy. We walked outside during the eye of the hurricane. About 45 minutes, it was like this weird calm. And then you can look up and there's like nothing going on. Then, woo, baby, here it comes again. And then it was crazy. The immediate area that we were at was fine. But I drove about a quarter mile away, and everything was completely devastated, completely decimated, completely destroyed. But where we were at was like everything was still standing. I was like nothing ever really happened. If we want to be able to stand at the end, we got to have people on our team. So who's on your team? Life and faith is not a solo sport. Whose hands do you have? Whose hands are you gripping when sometimes your grip gets weak and theirs can squeeze a little stronger? And you may be even saying right now, today my life's a little weak and I need somebody with me. Who's with you? Are you intentional about making sure people are with you, or have you defaulted into isolation, into aloneness? And honestly, you can be in an entire group of people and maybe feel all alone today. Have you allowed that to happen through not letting people beyond the perimeter? We need a team of people. You've got a team of people. There's people around you that know what you've been through and that genuinely will care about you. You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. Would you stand with me? Who's on your team? I think we need a couple of things. I think we need some people who are coaches in our life. Coaches help inspire, encourage, and even challenge us. You need somebody who can tell you no. You need somebody who can tell you you're getting off path. Now, we don't want coaches, we want cheerleaders, right? But you need people who can tell you you're not going the right way, and you'll listen to them. Who do you have in your life that's like that? Do you have anybody? Have you let anybody in your life that can tell you, hey? Or do we get upset and offended and run away? Man, I'm telling you, the only way to really live life, we need some coaches and you need some teammates. Who's in it with you?